Okay, so we're gonna check the low air pressure warning device right now. Okay, so for that I will start my truck. My parking brakes are applied, okay, and my wheels are choked, so our vehicle is secure. Pressure right now is around 80 psi, so I'm gonna make a little bit more pressure. So start the engine, and I can increase the RPM not more than 900, so it should be between 600 and 900. Okay, so a little bit more, 700. Yeah, that's fine. So now my pressure between primary and secondary tanks is like 90 to 100, right? So that is enough for the low air pressure warning device, right? So low air pressure warning device, I can either turn the engine off and ignition on so that my gauges are still working, or I can do that test even my engine is on. Both the ways it's fine. If my engine is on, the low air warning device, you will hear a buzzer sound also. Okay, so right now my engine is off. What I will do is I will pump the brakes. Now the pressure is going down, as you can see. So we'll slowly pump the brakes until we see the low air warning device in our truck. Okay, yeah, so it's working. So the low air warning device, even the buzzer sound is working in this truck, right? So it's working at around 60-65 psi, which is good, right? So if it is not working below 55 psi, then the low air warning device is defective. Then again, you put the defect on the logbook, inform the operator, and don't drive that vehicle, park it out of service. So that's the low air warning device. Okay, so next test we are going to do is air pressure build-up time. Okay, so in how much time your air pressure goes from 85 psi to 100 psi while your RPM is working between 600 and 900 RPM. Okay, so how we will start? Again, our truck is secure, parking brakes are applied. Now I'll start my vehicle. Okay, so when I start my vehicle, my pressure right now is around 70 psi, so I'll increase it to approximately 80 to 85 psi because that's my starting point. My RPM right now is 600 RPM, so this is good. Okay, so I'll increase my RPM a little bit so that I can go to 85 psi. Okay, so I increase my RPM, my gauges are moving up, they'll go to 85 psi. At 85 psi, what I will do is start the timer. Okay, so I'll keep my timer ready here. You can have a timer on your watch, or you can have a timer here separately. Okay, so this one is approximately 85 psi, so I start my timer and I will just wait for the pressure to build up to 100 psi. Now at this time, make sure I am not increasing my RPM. I'm letting the compressor do its work automatically. Okay, so my secondary is almost 100 psi. My primary is going to be 100 very soon. Okay, so my primary is also 100, so I'm gonna stop the timer. It's taking approximately 28 seconds to go from 85 psi to 100 psi. So my air pressure build-up time is good. If it is taking more than 2 minutes, then it's a minor defect. Okay, so it should not be more than 2 minutes. Okay, so for us it's taking 28 seconds, so it's good. All right, so next test we're gonna do is air loss rate. Okay, so air loss rate means how much air my vehicle is losing in 1 minute. Okay, so either it is truck, or if you're driving a combination of truck and trailer, or truck and 2 or more trailers. For truck, the Ontario Highway Traffic Act limit is 3 psi in 1 minute. You should not lose more than 3 psi. For truck and trailer, it's 4 psi, and for truck and 2 or more trailers, it's 6 psi. Okay, so let's check for truck and trailer both. What's the air loss rate for this vehicle for truck and trailer? For that, make sure your pressure is within the normal operating range. So right now it's 125 psi, so it is good. Now next step I'm gonna do is I'm gonna supply the air to the truck and the trailer. So I'm gonna charge my truck. So I release the truck brakes, and you see my pressure is falling a little bit. Okay, when I release the parking brakes, and then I release the trailer brakes also, And since my wheels are choked, so we are fine, we are still secure. So our pressure right now is around 110, 115 psi. So we are still within the normal operating range, right? So we are good. So what we have done is charge the truck and trailer, release both the brakes. Now I turn the engine off and turn the ignition on. Okay, so after turning the ignition on, my pressure is still good. I'm gonna press the brake and I'm gonna make my timer ready, and I'm gonna press the brake for 1 minute. Okay, so I press the brake. Okay, at that time my pressure dropped to 90 psi. Now I start the timer. Now what I do is I keep on holding the brake for 1 minute. So I'll pay attention to my timer and I'll pay attention to the gauges. So the gauges in 1 minute should not drop more than 4 psi. If the gauges are dropping more than 4 psi, then the air loss rate for this vehicle is not good. So then it is, defective. If it is not dropping more than 4 psi, then it is good.